Dr. Olivia Martinez watched the sky darken as the Trivari warships moved into position above Eridu 9. The colony's main research facility offered a clear view of the approaching disaster. Her hands trembled as she pressed them against the observation window. "They're really here," she whispered. "They actually came." For weeks there had been rumors of Trivari fleet movements near their system, but the colony leaders had dismissed them. The Eridani Confederation had maintained peaceful relations with all neighboring systems for over 60 years. Their colony focused on scientific research and mining, not military strength. Beside her, Peter Blackwell, the colony administrator, spoke urgently into his communicator. His normally calm voice cracked with stress. "This is Administrator Blackwell of Eridu 9 requesting immediate assistance. We have multiple Trivari warships entering orbit. Our population is primarily civilian. Please respond." The silence that followed his call seemed to stretch forever. The Eridani homeworld was 3 weeks away at maximum speed. Even if they dispatched ships immediately, the colony would be on its own until help arrived. The facility shook as the first explosions hit the planet's surface. The Trivari were targeting communication arrays and the small defense outposts first. Standard invasion procedure. "Olivia, we need to evacuate the research staff," Peter said, grabbing her arm. "The emergency shelters beneath the mountains might keep people safe for a while." She nodded, pulling herself away from the terrible view. "What about the defense force, Captain Ford and his people?" "They're mobilizing, but they only have 3 small patrol ships and a few hundred troops. Against this," he gestured at the ships filling the sky. They rushed through corridors already filling with panicked researchers and staff. The facility's AI calmly announced evacuation procedures over the speakers, its peaceful tone at odds with the chaos around them. Outside, the colony's main city of New Haven was already under attack. Trivari landing craft descended through the atmosphere, their distinctive purple engines leaving trails in the sky. The few anti-aircraft guns the colony possessed fired desperately, but most shots were absorbed by the ship's shields. Captain William Ford organized his security forces at the Central Defense Building. At 43, he had never seen actual combat. No one on Eridu 9 had. The colony's security team existed mainly to handle minor disputes and occasional problems with the local wildlife. "Set up defensive positions around the residential areas," he ordered. "Priority is civilian evacuation to the mountain shelters. We're not going to win this fight, but we can buy time." His officers rushed to comply, their training finally being put to real use. Ford checked his weapon, an energy rifle that had only ever been fired in practice drills. He wondered how many shots it would take to penetrate Trivari armor. In orbit, the Trivari command ship Inevitable Victory observed the colony's feeble defense efforts. General Vextar, 6.5 feet of scaled muscle and decorated armor, watched the tactical display with mild amusement. "Their defense force is even smaller than our intelligence suggested," he noted to his second in command. "They will be overrun within hours." "The mining operations appear to be more extensive than we thought, General," the officer replied. "The crystalline deposits will serve the Empire well." "Indeed. Inform the ground forces to secure the mines intact. The workers can be processed for labor camps. We will need them to maintain production," the general's communicator chimed. "The Eridani Confederation is sending a diplomatic message, sir." Vextar snorted. "Display it." A nervous Eridani diplomat appeared on screen. "General, the Confederation strongly protests this unprovoked attack on our colony. Eridu 9 is a peaceful research outpost with no military significance. We demand you withdraw immediately." "Your demands are noted," Vextar replied calmly. "And rejected. The resources of this world now belong to the Trivari Empire. The Confederation's military is too far away to help, and too weak to challenge us even if they were here. Accept this reality. There will be consequences. The only consequence will be the execution of hostages if you continue with these pointless threats. Eridu 9 is now Trivari territory. Vextar out." The communication ended. The general turned to his troops. "Accelerate the landing schedule. I want full control of the surface within 6 hours." On the surface, Dr. Martinez helped evacuate the research labs. The most valuable scientific data had already been transferred to secure servers, but there were still experimental samples that couldn't be abandoned. "Take these to Shelter 3, she told a group of assistants, handing over carefully packed containers. "Make sure Dr. Lawson gets them, he'll know what to do." An explosion rocked the building, sending dust raining from the ceiling. The Trivery were getting closer. Peter Blackwell appeared in the doorway, his face streaked with soot. "Olivia, we need to go now. They've broken through the western perimeter." "Just one more minute," she insisted, downloading files onto a portable drive. "These are irreplaceable." Another, closer explosion made the decision for them. Part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking access to the main computer terminal. "That's it, we're leaving," Peter said, pulling her toward the emergency exit. They emerged into chaos. The beautiful central plaza of New Haven, with its gardens and fountains, had become a battlefield. Captain Ford's security forces fired from behind hastily erected barricades as Trivari troops advanced methodically through the streets. The alien soldiers were imposing in their dark armor, standing a head taller than most humans. Their weapons fired pulses of energy that could cut through the colony's makeshift defenses with ease. "This way," Peter urged, leading Olivia toward the evacuation route to the mountain shelters. Around them, colonists fled with whatever possessions they could grab. Parents carried children. Medical staff helped the injured and elderly. Captain Ford organized a fighting retreat, his forces falling back street by street to cover the evacuation. "Hold this position," he ordered a group of officers at a barricade. "Fall back to Point Echo when you can't hold anymore." A Trivari shot caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. He stumbled but remained standing, returning fire with his rifle. The shot hit a Trivari soldier's armor but didn't penetrate. The aliens were tough. By nightfall, the main city was largely under Trivari control. Nearly 150,000 colonists had reached the mountain shelters, with thousands more still making their way through the wilderness. The colony's small spaceport had been destroyed early in the attack, eliminating any possibility of evacuation off-world. In the largest shelter, carved into the mountainside, Dr. Martinez found Peter Blackwell organizing emergency supplies. Captain Ford had arrived too, his shoulder hastily bandaged, still giving orders to his remaining officers. "The Trivari are setting up force fields around the main city and mining operations," Ford reported grimly. "They're jamming most communications, but we're still getting some signals through the underground network." "Has anyone responded to our distress calls?" Olivia asked. Peter shook his head. "The Eridani Confederation has officially expressed grave concern, but states they cannot send military assistance in time. They're pursuing diplomatic channels." "Which means they're abandoning us," Ford said bitterly. Olivia looked around at the frightened faces of the colonists. "Then we're on our own." "Not necessarily," Peter said quietly. "I managed to get a message out on the Deep Space Emergency Channel before they destroyed the main array. It's a long shot, but someone might hear it." "Who?" Ford asked. "Who would come help us against the Trivari Empire?" Olivia had no answer. The Trivari had calculated correctly. Eridu 9 was too far from any major power that might help them. The colony would be conquered and its people enslaved long before help could arrive, unless someone had a way to get here faster than anyone thought possible. In her lab coat pocket, Olivia's hand closed around a small communicator, one that operated on frequencies the Trivari didn't know about, one that might still reach the right ears if she could find a way to boost its signal. She had work to do. The fight was just beginning. Lieutenant Commander Samuel Wright rubbed his tired eyes as he monitored the Deep Space Communications Station. The night shift at Earth Defense Force headquarters was usually quiet, but he preferred it that way. The soft hum of equipment and minimal interruptions helped him focus on the subtle patterns in space transmissions that others might miss. A small alert sounded from his console. The computer had detected a non-standard signal coming from outside Earth's normal communication network. Samuel adjusted his headset and began isolating the frequency. The message was fragmented and weak, deteriorating as it traveled across vast distances of space. He enhanced the signal, cleaning up the static and piecing together the broken words. "Eridu 9, Under attack. Trivari forces. Civilians. Please help. Samuel sat up straight. Eridu 9 was a research colony far beyond Earth's territory. The Trivari were known to Earth intelligence as an aggressive species with expansionist policies, but they had never directly encountered humanity before. He immediately forwarded the transmission to Admiral Catherine Reeves, commander of Earth's legendary 7th Fleet. Protocol demanded that any distress calls, even those not directed specifically at Earth, be evaluated by senior command. 30 minutes later, Samuel was summoned to the emergency meeting room. He hadn't expected to be included in high-level discussions, but his experience with deep space communications made him valuable for this situation. Admiral Reeves stood at the head of the conference table. At 58, she had the weathered look of someone who had seen her share of conflict. The Mars-Titan War 15 years ago had made her famous throughout Earth space. Now she commanded the most powerful fleet humans had ever built, Lieutenant Commander Wright. She nodded as he entered. Please explain what you found. Samuel played the enhanced message for the room. The assembled officers and council members listened in silence to the desperate plea from Eridu 9. The message was sent 3 days ago, Samuel explained. Based on degradation patterns, I believe the colony's main communication array was damaged after transmission began. They're using emergency equipment with limited power. General Jason Alvarez studied the star charts displayed on the wall screen. Eridu 9 is 38 light days from Earth using conventional travel methods. The Trivari chose their target well. No one in that region could reach them in time. No one using conventional drives, Admiral Reeves corrected him. She turned to the council. The 7th Fleet's new jump drives could get us there in 18 days. We would arrive before the Eridani could even organize a response. The room fell silent. Earth's jump drive technology was their most closely guarded military secret. It had never been deployed beyond their own territory. This isn't our fight, said Diplomatic Officer Elizabeth Winters. We have no treaties with the Eridani Confederation. Intervening would violate our policy of non-interference in external conflicts. 200,000 civilians are being enslaved, countered General Alvarez. After what happened at Proxima Centauri, we swore we would never stand by while innocent lives were threatened. Admiral Reeves let the debate continue around her, listening to the arguments from both sides. Samuel watched her carefully. The Admiral's face revealed nothing, but her fingers tapped a slow rhythm on the table. Finally, she raised her hand for silence. The non-interference policy exists to protect Earth, not to bind us when action is necessary. The Trivari believe no one will come to help Eridu 9 because no one can reach them in time. She paused, looking at each person in the room. They don't know about us. They don't know what humans are capable of. The 7th Fleet has never engaged in combat outside our territory, reminded Officer Winters. This would be unprecedented. So was the massacre at Proxima, replied Reeves quietly. We were unprepared then. We are not unprepared now. She straightened her uniform and made her decision. Prepare the fleet for immediate deployment. We launch in 6 hours. Lieutenant Commander Wright, send a brief message to Eridu 9. Hold on, we're coming. The meeting ended. As officers rushed to prepare for deployment, Samuel returned to his communication station to compose the reply. The message would take days to reach Eridu 9, but he hoped it would arrive in time to give the colonists hope. On the main flight deck of Earth Defense Force headquarters, ships of the 7th Fleet prepared for departure. 46 warships, led by the massive flagship EDF Valiant, hummed with activity as crews loaded supplies and weapons. Chief Engineer Alan Rodriguez supervised the final checks on the Valiant's jump drive. The technology was still new, and pushing it to reach Eridu 9 in 18 days would strain the system to its limits. We've never attempted a jump this far before, he told his team. I want triple checks on all coolant systems and power regulators. In Ney, the Marine Deployment Bay, Commander Nicole Hayes drilled her troops. The 7th Fleet carried over 3,000 Marines equipped with the latest powered armor and weapons. They practiced urban combat scenarios and hostage rescue operations, preparing for what they might face on Eridu 9. The Trivari have never fought humans before, she told her soldiers. They don't know our capabilities or tactics. We'll use that to our advantage. On the bridge of the Valiant, Admiral Reeves reviewed everything known about Trivari military operations. The species had a reputation for efficiency and cruelty in equal measure. They conquered to expand their empires, resources, and used enslaved populations for labor. Commander Daniel Parker, her executive officer, joined her at the tactical display. The Trivari have conquered 12 worlds in the past 20 years, he noted. No one has successfully driven them back once they've established control. Then we'll be the first, Reeves replied simply. Athena, the fleet's advanced tactical AI, provided analysis of potential battle scenarios. Trivari response times average 22% slower than human reflexes, the AI reported. Their shield technology is superior to ours, but their weapons lack precision at close range. Recommend a rapid approach and close-quarters engagement, suggested General Alvarez. Hit them before they can organize a proper defense. Admiral Reeves nodded. We'll exit hyperspace as close to the planet as possible. It's risky, but surprise will be our greatest advantage. As final preparations were completed, messages arrived from Earth's government. Some political leaders expressed concern about potential retaliation if the mission succeeded. The Trivari Empire might view Earth as a threat and turn their attention to human territory next. But public opinion strongly supported the mission. Images of Eridani civilians from previous encounters had circulated widely. They looked almost human, with their slender builds and expressive faces. The thought of an entire colony enslaved had stirred something deep in the human psyche. 6 hours after the emergency meeting, the 7th Fleet departed Earth orbit. The massive ships moved in perfect formation to their jump points. On the Valiant's bridge, Admiral Reeves gave the final order. All ships prepare for jump. Target Eridu system. One by one, the warships vanished in flashes of light as their drives activated. The fleet entered hyperspace, traveling faster than anyone in that region of space believed possible. The 7th Fleet, Earth's most dreaded military force, was coming. The Trivari didn't know it yet, but their calculations about Eridu 9 being isolated and beyond help were about to be proven catastrophically wrong. The 7th Fleet moved through hyperspace like ghosts, silent and unseen by the rest of the galaxy. Inside the flagship EDF Valiant, Admiral Reeves studied the latest reports from the fleet systems. 18 days of continuous hyperspace travel put enormous strain on the ships and their crews. Power systems at 82% efficiency, reported Chief Engineer Rodriguez over the comm. The jump drives are holding, but we're pushing them harder than they were designed for. Can they get us there? Asked Reeves simply. Yes, ma'am. They'll get us there. Reeves nodded and turned to look at the tactical display. Athena, the fleet's AI, continuously updated their battle plans based on the limited information they had about Eridu 9 and the Trivari occupation. 14 days until arrival, Commander Parker reminded her. The crew is eager for updates. Tell them we're on schedule, Reeves answered, and remind all department heads to review the simulations again. We won't get a second chance at this. Elsewhere, on the Valiant, Marine Commander Hayes supervised combat drills in the ship's largest training area. Marines in powered armor moved through simulated city streets practicing building clearance and civilian extraction. The armor added strength and protection, but required constant practice to use effectively. Faster on those corners, Hayes called, out to one squad. The Trivari won't give you time to think. Lieutenant Gina Ortiz, leader of the first response team, approached Hayes after the drill. The men are ready, Commander. But we're still working with limited intel on Trivari ground. Tactics, Hayes nodded. We know they're bigger than us and their armor is tough. Focus on joint attack patterns and use your suit enhancements. Your armor gives you better reaction times. Use that advantage. In the weapons development section, technicians worked around the clock to adjust the fleet systems for the specific conditions on Eridu 9. The planet's atmosphere contained elements that could affect certain weapon types, requiring careful calibration. The pulse cannons need to be reconfigured for the higher nitrogen content, Engineer Rodriguez told his team, and check the targeting systems for drift in the planet's magnetic field. Throughout the fleet, 15,000 personnel prepared for battle. Some had seen combat during the Mars-Titan War, but many were facing their first real mission. Training simulations filled every available space as crews honed their skills. On the Valiant's observation deck, Lieutenant Commander Wright stared out at the swirling colors of hyperspace. He hadn't expected to be included in the mission, but Admiral Reeves had insisted that the officer who received the distress call should be present when they arrived. "Still wondering if we're doing the right thing?" asked Commander Parker, joining him at the window. Wright nodded. "It's not that. I don't want to help them. But this could change everything for Earth. We've stayed out of galactic politics for decades. This mission ends that policy." "Some policies need to end," Parker replied. "The non-interference directive was written after the Mars-Titan War when we needed time to rebuild, but we've grown stronger since then. Maybe it's time we took our place in the wider galaxy." In the fleet's medical bays, doctors and nurses prepared for potential casualties. Dr. Laura Bennett reviewed the limited information available on Eridani physiology. Their bodies were similar enough to humans that standard medical treatments would work, but there were important differences to consider. "Their blood carries oxygen differently than ours," she explained to her medical team. "And their bones are more brittle. Keep that in mind during emergency treatments." As the journey continued, the fleet's mood shifted from nervous anticipation to focused determination. Daily briefings kept everyone informed of their progress and the latest intelligence about the situation on Eridu. Athena had calculated that by now, the Trivari would have established full control of the colony. Labor camps would be operational, and the mining of valuable resources would be underway. The Trivari were known for their efficiency. On the 7th day of their journey, Admiral Reeves called a meeting of all department heads. "We're approaching the halfway point," she began. "From here, we need to minimize our hyperspace signature. The Trivari might have long-range detection capabilities we don't know about. The element of surprise remains our greatest advantage," agreed General Alvarez. "Our ships will have to run silent for the remainder of the journey." Running silent meant reduced power to non-essential systems and minimal communications between ships. It made the second half of the journey feel longer and more isolated, but everyone understood the necessity. On day 12, Athena detected faint signals from Eridu. The AI worked to decode them, but interference from hyperspace made it difficult to get clear information. "It appears to be coded transmissions from the surface," Wright explained to Admiral Reeves. "Possibly from resistance fighters. They're using an unusual frequency that might be slipping past Trivari jammers." "Can we respond?" Reeves asked. Wright shook his head. "Not without revealing our position. But the fact that we're receiving signals at all suggests some colonists are still fighting back." This news spread quickly through the fleet, boosting morale. If resistance continued on Eridu, their mission had even greater purpose. As they entered the final days of their journey, tension grew. The fleet's sensors began picking up more information about the Eridu system. There were 8 Trivari, warships in orbit around the planet, substantially fewer than the 7th Fleet but still dangerous opponents. "They've left minimal defenses," noted General Alvarez during a strategy session. "They don't expect anyone to challenge their occupation." "We'll use that overconfidence against them," Reeves decided. "Update the battle plan. I want our exit from hyperspace to bring us within immediate striking distance of their command ship." This adjustment increased the risk significantly. Hyperspace exits normally happened far from planetary bodies to avoid gravitational complications. Moving directly into combat positions would strain both ships and crews. "It's dangerous," warned Chief Engineer Rodriguez. "Exiting hyperspace that close to the planet will put enormous stress on the jump drives." "Can it be done?" asked Reeves. Rodriguez hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Admiral. It can be done." On the final day before arrival, Admiral Reeves addressed the entire fleet via secure communication. Her face appeared on screens throughout all 46 ships. "Tomorrow we arrive at Eridu, she began. "We go to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We go because it is right. The Trivari believe their victims are beyond help. They are wrong." She paused, looking directly into the camera. Earth has never revealed its full military capabilities to the galaxy. Tomorrow, that changes. Tomorrow, we show the Trivari. And anyone else who would prey on the innocent, that distance means nothing when humanity decides to act. Throughout the fleet, crews made final preparations. Weapons were checked one last time. Combat teams reviewed their assignments. Medical bays prepared for casualties. In the Valiant's engine room, Chief Engineer Rodriguez personally supervised the jump drive adjustments. "We'll only get one chance at this," he told his team. "The drives have to function perfectly for a precision exit." On the bridge, Admiral Reeves took her command chair as the final countdown began. Around her, officers monitored their stations with intense focus. "All ships report ready, Admiral," announced Commander Parker. Reeves nodded. "Begin exit sequence. May God help us and those we fight for." The massive fleet prepared to tear its way back into normal space, directly above Eridu 9. The Trivari's assumption that no help could possibly arrive was about to be shattered by humanity's most dreaded military force. On the surface of Eridu 9, Dr. Olivia Martinez moved quietly through the shadows of the labor camp. 3 weeks had passed since the Trivari invasion. The alien conquerors had established mining operations with brutal efficiency, forcing colonists to work long shifts extracting the rare minerals that had made Eridu 9 valuable. Olivia had been assigned to the medical unit because of her scientific background. This gave her limited freedom to move between different areas of the camp. She used this access to maintain the colony's secret resistance network. "How many guards at the North Gate tonight?" she whispered to a worker she was treating for minor injuries. "4, the man replied quietly. "But they added a new scanner yesterday. The blind spot we were using is gone." Olivia nodded and applied a bandage to his cut hand. "Rest if you can. Pass the word to Section 5. No movement tonight." The resistance had grown carefully over the weeks of occupation. Small acts of sabotage, information gathering, and preparation for the day when, if, help ever arrived. Peter Blackwell coordinated, from the detention center where colony administrators were held, passing messages through the camp's work assignments. Captain Ford had been less fortunate. After leading the initial resistance during the invasion, he had been captured and placed in high-security detention. Rumors said he was still alive, but no one in the network had seen him for days. In orbit above the planet, General Vexitar reviewed the production reports from his command ship. "The mineral extraction is behind schedule," he noted with displeasure. "Why?" His operations officer shifted nervously. "There have been equipment failures, General, and the workers are inefficient. Make examples of the slowest workers," Vexitar ordered. 10 should be sufficient. Public punishment will motivate the others." "Yes, General. There's also the matter of the communication disruptions. We believe some colonists may have hidden transmitters. Our jammers are being periodically overcome." Vexitar's expression darkened. "Find them and execute them. Communications with off-world forces is strictly forbidden." The officer saluted and left. Vexitar turned his attention back to the tactical display. His 8 warships maintained a standard patrol pattern around the planet. It was more than enough to handle any local threat. The nearest Eridani military base was weeks away at their fastest speed, and their ships were no match for Trivari technology anyway. The conquest of Eridu 9 was proceeding exactly as planned. One more resource-rich world added to the growing Trivari Empire. Aboard the EDF Valiant, Admiral Reeves gave the final order. "All ships prepare for hyperspace exit. Combat positions." Throughout the fleet, crews braced for the dangerous maneuver. Exiting hyperspace so close to a planetary body pushed their technology to its limits. "Jump drives at maximum," reported Chief Engineer Rodriguez over the comm. "Exit sequence in 10 seconds. The fleet's tactical display showed their planned positions directly above Eridu 9. They would emerge from hyperspace with weapons already locked on Trivari targets. 5 seconds, called Commander Parker. All weapons systems online. A tense silence fell over the bridge as the final seconds counted down. Then the swirling colors of hyperspace tore apart, and normal space appeared around them. The fleet exploded into reality mere minutes from Eridu 9. The sudden appearance of 46 warships sent emergency alerts blaring throughout the Trivari. Vessels in orbit. "All ships engage as planned," commanded Admiral Reeves calmly. "Ground forces prepare for deployment." On the Trivari command ship, alarms screamed as sensors detected the massive fleet that had appeared without warning. General Vextar rushed to the bridge, his mind refusing to accept what the tactical displays showed. "Impossible," he hissed. "No one can travel here that quickly. No one has ships that size in this sector." "Unknown fleet directly above us, General," reported his tactical officer, voice shaking. "They're targeting our engines and weapon systems. Raise. Shields, launch fighters, contact." His orders were cut short as the first volley from Earth's fleet struck his ship. The Valiant's main guns fired with pinpoint precision, targeting the Trivari vessel's propulsion systems rather than trying to destroy it completely. Throughout the Eridu system, the battle unfolded with shocking speed. Earth ships moved with a coordination that stunned the Trivari. The EDF vessels Phoenix and Dauntless eliminated the outlying patrol ships, while the Valiant led the main assault group toward the planet. "The enemy vessels are attempting to regroup," reported Athena. "Their response time is 3.4 seconds slower than our models predicted. They are unprepared." Admiral Reeves watched the tactical display as the Trivari ships tried to form a defensive pattern. "Continue with Phase 2. Deploy the marine dropships." In the Valiant's launch bay, Commander Hayes climbed into her powered armor and addressed her troops. "This is what we trained for. The fleet has control of orbit. Now we take back the ground. Remember your objectives. Secure the labor camps first, then the administration centers. 20 transport ships, each carrying 100 Marines, in full combat gear, launched from various vessels in the fleet. They streaked toward the surface of Eridu 9, targeting the main Trivari command centers and labor camps. In her medical unit at the largest labor camp, Dr. Martinez heard the distant sounds of explosions coming from orbit. The Trivari guards looked up nervously as their communication devices erupted with urgent messages. "What's happening?" asked one of her fellow doctors. "I don't know," she replied, though hope surged through her. She had managed to repair and boost the signal of her special communicator weeks ago, sending a message into deep space on frequencies the Trivari didn't monitor. But she had never expected a response, let alone a rescue. The camp's alarm suddenly blared. Through the windows, Olivia could see Trivari soldiers running to defensive positions. Something was definitely happening. Peter Blackwell appeared at the medical unit door, escorted by another member of the Resistance. "Olivia, it's time. Someone's attacking the Trivari in orbit. We need to move now before they decide to use us as hostages." She nodded and quickly gathered the medical supplies they had secretly stockpiled. "The backup plan? Already in motion. The resistance cells in all camps are mobilizing." Outside, the sound of engines roared overhead as marine transport ships entered the atmosphere. The Trivari point defense guns fired desperately at the incoming vessels, but most shots missed their fast-moving targets. Commander Hayes' ship was the first to land, touching down just outside the main labor camp's perimeter. The landing ramp dropped, and Marines in powered armor rushed out, their weapons already firing at Trivari defensive positions. "Move in teams of 4, Hayes ordered over the tactical network. "Remember your training. These aliens are bigger than you and their armor is tough. Target joints and sensors." The Marines moved with practiced precision. Their powered armor gave them enhanced strength and speed, while heads-up displays identified targets and tracked team members' positions. The Trivari had never encountered this kind of coordinated assault before. In orbit, Admiral Reeves watched as the ground battle began. "Status report," she demanded. 6 enemy vessels disabled, 2 attempting to retreat," responded Commander Parker. "Our casualties minimal. Ground forces are engaging at all primary targets." General Vextar's ship listed badly, its main engines destroyed by the Valiant's opening salvo. On his damaged bridge, the Trivari commander struggled to comprehend what was happening. "Where did they come from?" he demanded. "Who are they?" His communications officer looked up from his console with fear in his eyes. They're broadcasting on all channels, General. They identify themselves as the Earth Defense Force. Humans. Humans? Vextar repeated in disbelief. The primitive species from the Sol system? They're months away by any known travel method. They're demanding our surrender, sir. They say they'll destroy our remaining ships if we don't comply. Vextar stared at the tactical display in shock. In less than 30 minutes, the human fleet had disabled his orbital defenses, and now their ground forces were landing across the planet's surface. Everything he knew about human capabilities had been wrong. On the surface, Dr. Martinez and Peter Blackwell led a group of colonists in overwhelming the surprised guards at the camp's control center. The resistance had prepared for this moment, hiding makeshift weapons and planning escape routes. The security system is down, Peter announced after accessing the main computer. All internal gates are open. Olivia looked out the window at the ongoing battle. Armored figures, clearly not Trivari, were advancing steadily toward the camp. Their movements were too coordinated, too precise to be anything but professional military. Someone really did come, she whispered in amazement. A voice suddenly came over the camp's communication system, broadcasting in clear, accented Eridani. Attention all colonists of Eridu 9. This is Lieutenant Commander Samuel Wright of the Earth Defense Force. We have come in response to your distress call. Please remain in safe locations if possible. Our forces are securing the planet and neutralizing Trivari occupiers. Help has arrived. Throughout the labor camps across Eridu 9, the message repeated. Colonists who had given up hope looked at each other in disbelief. Earth, a world most had only heard of in old space tales, had sent its fleet across impossible distances to save them. The liberation of Eridu 9 had begun. 3 days after the arrival of Earth's 7th Fleet, the last Trivari stronghold on Eridu 9 surrendered. The alien invaders had fought hard, but were overwhelmed by superior tactics, technology they had never encountered before, and the uprising of the colonists themselves. Admiral Reeves stood on the bridge of the Valiant watching the final reports come in from the surface. Commander Parker approached with a data pad. Final casualty report, Admiral, he said. 23 Earth personnel lost, 142 wounded. Colonist casualties estimated at 2,000 during the liberation, with 5,000 lost during the initial invasion and occupation. Reeves nodded solemnly. Each loss is one too many, but it could have been much worse. What about the Trivari? Over half their ground forces dead or captured. The rest surrendered when General Vextar was taken. 6 of their 8 ships disabled, 2 destroyed when they refused to stand down. On the planet below, Commander Hayes supervised the processing of Trivari prisoners. The aliens were secured in the same detention centers they had used for the colony's leadership. Their expressions showed a mixture of shock and disbelief at how quickly their occupation had collapsed. Keep them separated by rank, Hayes instructed her Marines. Intelligence wants to question the officers first. In what had been the main labor camp, Dr. Martinez worked alongside Earth medical personnel treating the injured. The advanced medical technology brought by the fleet amazed her. Injuries that would have been life-threatening under colony equipment were being treated effectively. Dr. Laura Bennett from the Valiant's medical team approached her. Dr. Martinez, we found another group of colonists in the northern mining facility. They're asking for you. Olivia followed Dr. Bennett to the temporary medical center set up in the camp's former administrative building. There, on a bed near the window, lay Captain William Ford. His face was bruised and his right arm was in a cast, but he was alive. Captain, Olivia said, taking his good hand. We thought you might be dead. Ford managed a weak smile. The Trivari wanted information about our defense systems. They were very persistent in their questioning. Rest now, she told him. It's over. The Earth forces have control of the entire planet. Ford's eyes showed confusion. Earth? How is that possible? They're more than 30 light days away. Apparently they have technology we didn't know about, Olivia explained. They received our distress call and came to help. In the colony's main city of New Haven, Peter Blackwell worked with Earth engineers to restore power and communication systems. The city had suffered significant damage during both the initial invasion and the liberation battle, but repairs were progressing rapidly. "Your technology is remarkable," Peter told Chief Engineer Rodriguez as they examined the colony's damaged power core. "Some of these tools, I've never seen anything like them," Rodriguez smiled. "Earth has kept many advances to ourselves until now. After the Mars-Titan War, our leaders decided it was safer that way." "Why reveal yourselves for us?" Peter asked. "You had no obligation to Eridu 9. The engineer paused his work for a moment. "Admiral Reeves would say it was the right thing to do. But between us, after Proxima Centauri, Earth swore never to stand by while innocents suffered. When we received your call, there was really only one possible answer." On the 5th day after liberation, Admiral Reeves and her senior officers met with the colony's leadership in the restored administrative center. The large meeting room had been repaired, though blast marks still scarred some walls. "The Eridani Confederation has finally responded to our messages," Admiral Reeves informed them. "They're sending representatives, but they'll take at least 3 more weeks to arrive." "And the Trivari?" asked Peter Blackwell. "No response from their empire yet," replied General Alvarez. "But our intelligence suggests they're in shock. No one has ever reversed a Trivari conquest before, especially not this quickly." Dr. Martinez, now serving as acting head of the colony's health services, studied the Earth officers. "Will you stay until the Confederation representatives arrive?" Admiral Reeves nodded. "Half the fleet will remain in orbit. The rest will patrol the surrounding systems to ensure no more Trivari forces approach. We'll also leave a contingent of Marines to help with security." Lieutenant Commander Wright, who had been monitoring communications, spoke up. "We're receiving signals from several neighboring systems. Word of what happened here is spreading rapidly. 3 different non-aligned worlds have already requested meetings with Earth representatives. A week after liberation, memorial services were held for those who had died during the invasion and occupation. Colonists and Earth personnel gathered in the main plaza of New Haven, which had been cleared of battle debris. Admiral Reeves stood, with Dr. Martinez and Peter Blackwell as the names of the fallen were read aloud. "Your people fought bravely even before we arrived," Reeves told them quietly. "The resistance information was crucial to our success." "We had hope," Martinez replied. "After you responded to our message, we knew we just had to hold on." The memorial concluded with a moment of silence followed by music from both Earth and Eridani traditions. As the crowd dispersed, a young girl approached Admiral Reeves. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old. "Are you the leader of the ships that saved us?" she asked. Reeves knelt down to the child's level. "I command the fleet, yes." The girl handed her a small carved figure. "My father made this before the bad aliens took him away. The guards didn't find it. I want you to have it." Reeves accepted the gift carefully. It was a small bird-like creature, delicately carved from local stone. "Thank you. I'll treasure it." "Will Earth protect us if the bad aliens come back?" the girl asked. Before Reeves could answer, Dr. Martinez knelt beside them. "Earth is very far away," she explained gently to the child. "They came this time because they heard our call for help, and we would come again," Reeves added firmly. "Distance means nothing when the cause is just." 2 weeks after liberation, the Earth Defense Force established a permanent communication relay in the Eridu system. This technology would allow messages to reach Earth in days rather than weeks, creating a lasting connection between the worlds. On the day before half the fleet was scheduled to depart, Admiral Reeves invited the colony leadership aboard the Valiant. Peter Blackwell, Dr. Martinez, and the recovering Captain Ford were given a tour of the massive flagship. This ship alone could have defeated the Trivari occupation, Ford noted as they walked through the vessel's main weapons control center. "Perhaps," Reeves acknowledged, "but we never take chances when lives are at stake." In the ship's observation lounge, they watched as Eridu 9 rotated slowly below them. The planet was beginning to recover, with lights from settlements visible. On the night side, "The Eridani representatives will arrive soon after we depart," Reeves told them. "They'll likely want to establish better defenses for the colony." "And what will Earth do now?" asked Dr. Martinez. "Your secret is out. The galaxy knows about your capabilities. Admiral Reeves looked out at the stars. Earth has stayed apart from galactic politics for many years. That era has ended. The 7th Fleet's mission here has changed everything. She turned to face the colonists. Earth's government has approved a new directive. We will respond to distress, calls from any civilization facing extinction or enslavement. Distance will not be a barrier. As they prepared to leave the ship, Dr. Martinez took one last look at the impressive bridge of the Valiant. The Trivari thought no one would come because no one could reach us in time, she said quietly. That assumption cost them everything. It's an assumption many have made about Earth, replied Reeves. They believe we're too distant to matter in galactic affairs, too isolated to care about what happens beyond our borders. Captain Ford nodded in understanding. But now everyone knows that's not true. Now they know, agreed Reeves. When tyranny believes its victims are too far away to be saved, that's precisely when Earth's most dreaded fleet will arrive. The next day, 23 ships of the 7th Fleet departed Eriduna 9, leaving the rest to guard the system until the Eridani forces arrived. As they jumped back into hyperspace, messages were already spreading throughout nearby systems. The news traveled faster than any ship. Earth was no longer standing apart from galactic affairs. A new power had revealed itself, one that would cross any distance to oppose tyranny. The galaxy would never be the same again.